Hello students. So in the previous video we had learnt about cell, the fundamental unit of life. How the cell is the beginning of a plant or an animal life. Basically a cell is the beginning of any form of living organism. So we had learnt about the introduction. What are the types of the cells? That is a prokaryotic and eukaryotic. The prokaryotic cells are known as the cells which are before nucleus, means they do not have a nucleus, and a eukaryotic is known as a true nucleus which has a nucleus. We also learnt about the shape, the structure and the size of the cells, and also we learnt what are the different part of the cells. Like if you see a cell under a microscope, what are its different parts? What will you observe? So today we will learn about plant cell and animal cell. So what is a plant cell? Now when you observe a plant cell under a microscope, you will see these different parts of the cells. The first part you might observe is a cell wall. So what is a cell wall? The cell wall is a semi-rigid, freely permeable, non-living part of the cell. It is made up of complex chemical substances called cellulose. The cell wall gives strength and rigidity to the cell. Cell wall is absent in animal cells. So what is the cell wall? Cell wall is basically the outer ring, the covering of the cell. Like it is a protection of the cell. Okay, and it is a semi-rigid, means it is semi-solid, and it is freely permeable. So when I say freely permeable, means it allows and it lets out all the substances. It doesn't stop anything. It is freely permeable. It lets in and lets out whatever substances come and go out. And what is the cell wall made up of? It is made up of complex chemical substance called cellulose. And what does the cell wall do? The cell wall gives strength and rigidity to the cell. So why this rigidity? Means it gives the strength to the cell. Okay, it gives the strength, and the rigidity means the shape, a proper hard shape to the cell, which is required for the plants. For the plants, for the trunk, for the stems and all that, the hard part is required. So that is why the cell wall is present in plants and the cell wall is absent in animals. The second part is the cell membrane, or as we know, it is also known as the plasma membrane. It is present in both plants and animal cells. It is a living, elastic, differentially or selectively permeable membrane covering of the cell. Okay, so now it is the cell membrane or the plasma membrane, as we say. It is the living, elastic part of the cell. Okay, and it is selectively permeable. So now here when I say selectively permeable, it means that it allows only the substances required by the cell to enter, and which are not required, they come out of the cell through the cell membrane. Selectively permeable, it gives permission for only selected substance to enter the cell. Okay, now what does a cell membrane do? It gives external form to the protoplasm and also provides mechanical support. Being selective permeable, it allows only certain molecules to move in and out of the cell. Okay, so now basically it gives an external form. The protoplasm is a semi-liquid thing. It is a very thick granular liquid type thing. To give it a proper form, to not let it out, the cell membrane helps. Okay, and as I told you, semi-permeable means it only allows certain molecules to come inside and go out of it. Which is the third part? The third part is the nucleus. The nucleus regulates all metabolic and hereditary activity of the cell. So basically nucleus contains the DNA, which are hereditary. Okay, like we get it from our parents. There are so many things that we look like our parents, we have many habits like our parents, that is because of the nucleus which carries the DNA, that is the hereditary activities of the cell. Then the fourth part is the plastids. The plastids, these occur only in plant cells. Okay, and the third, there are three types of plastids. Okay, the plastids occur only in the plant cell, and there are three types of plastid. What are those three types? Chloroplast. They contain the green pigment chlorophyll, which traps the solar energy and utilizes it for the manufacture of food for the plant. We know that. We had done it in the previous video of photosynthesis, where I told you that chloroplast, which I had explained, chloroplast is the most important part of the plant. It is the green pigment which traps the solar energy from the sun, which helps the plants to make food. So one of the plastids is chloroplast. The second is the chromoplast. What is chromoplast? They contain pigments which give red and yellow color to the flowers and fruits. By imparting color to the flowers, they attract insects for pollination. So chromoplasts are the type of the plastids which give colors to the plant, to the fruits and the flowers. We know plants and flowers are of different colors, right? And because of the flower and their beautiful attractive color, the insects get attracted to the flower. Correct. And this, because of this, main reason for the chromoplast giving color is so that the insects will get attracted and pollination will happen. That is the function of the chromoplast. Now, which is the third type of plastid? It is leucoplast. Now, what is leucoplast? These are colorless pigment which store food in form of carbohydrates, starch, fats and proteins. Now, the best example of leucoplast I will tell you is potato. The starch which is contained in potato, or you can say sweet potato, carrots, beetroot, whatever. They store it as a starch which stores it as food. But this is colorless. Okay? They are colorless pigments which store food in the form of carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Now, we learned about four parts. There is a cell wall, cell membrane, nucleus and plastids. And plastids are of three types: the chloroplast, the chromoplast and the leucoplast. Now, the fifth part is vacuoles. You will also see big vacuoles in plant cells. You will see them in animal cells, but they will be very tiny or they will be absolutely absent. Okay? Now, vacuoles are clear space present in the cytoplasm enclosed by membrane. This contains fluid called cell sap, in which water-soluble substances are found. In plant cell, vacuoles are large and permanent. They generally contain water pigments, alkaloids, fats, sugar and protein. Presence of water in the vacuole makes the cell turgid and that is firm. Okay, so we learned today what is a plant cell and what are the different parts of the plant cell which you will see when you observe it under a microscope. So, animal cell. What is an animal cell? So now, if you see an animal cell under the microscope, what are the parts which you would be able to see? So in an animal cell, the cell membrane is present, but cell wall is absent. As I told you when we were doing plant cell. Okay, plastids are also absent. Plastids are again only present in plants. Vacuoles are usually absent. If present, they are small and temporary. Like in plants, they are big and they are permanent. Whereas in animals, they are not present. Usually they are absent, but if they are there, they are temporary. Then the fourth part is the lysosomes. Lysosomes are present. Lysosomes are tiny spherical, sac-like structures evenly distributed in the cytoplasm. They occur mostly in animal cells. but have been located in certain plant cells as well. Okay, I will send you a picture. I will attach a picture of an animal cell where you will be able to see all the plants in detail. What is the chief function of the lysosomes? The chief function of the lysosome is digestion. The enzymes present in the lysosome have the capacity of breaking down a wide variety of food particles. So the digestion process is basically done by the lysosomes present in the cell, and they are small spherical sac-like structures which are evenly distributed all around the cell. What is the center? The fifth part is the centrosome. The centrosome is present just outside the nucleus of the animal cell. There is a small clear area of cytoplasm without any granules. In this portion of the cytoplasm, which is called the centrosome, one or two tiny microtubular cylinder structures develop. These are called centrioles. The centrioles initiate cell division in animal cells. Okay, so now we know that the protoplasm is full of granules, right? But near the nucleus in the animal cell, there is a small clear area where there are no granules present. That is the centrosome. And in the centrosome, there are one or two tiny microtubular cylindrical structures which are known as centrioles, and they are responsible for the animal division in the cell. Okay. The eighth part is mitochondria. The mitochondria are tiny bodies of varying shape distributed in the cytoplasm. Each is bounded by a double membrane envelope. The inner membrane is thrown into folds known as cristae. Mitochondria are the sites of cellular respiration. Respiration releases energy. Hence, the mitochondria are also known as powerhouse of the cell. Okay, so they are the cells which are responsible for respiration. Okay, and once we respire, we know that the oxygen goes in the body, which gives energy for the breaking down of the food. Okay, so that is why they are known as the powerhouse of the cell. Now the seventh part is the endoplasmic reticulum. It is a complex tubular membrane system which almost fills up the intracellular cavity. Some tubes are studded with rounded bodies called ribosomes. On one end, it is connected to the outer membrane of the nucleus, and on the other, it is connected to the plasma. So the endoplasmic reticulum, for one end of the endoplasmic reticulum is connected to the nucleus. Okay, and the other end is connected to the plasma membrane, that is a cell membrane. So what is the function of the endoplasmic reticulum? It forms the supporting skeleton framework of the cell. And of course, because it is connected to the nucleus, one end is connected to the nucleus and the other is connected to the plasma membrane or the cell membrane, it is the pathway for the distribution of nuclear material from one cell to another. Now the ribosomes. It's the eighth part. Ribosomes are dense spherical and granule particles which occur freely in the matrix or remain attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. Ribosomes are site of protein synthesis. So the synthesis of protein is done with the help of the ribosomes. As a result of diverse metabolic activity of the cell organelles, a variety of soluble and insoluble chemical products accumulate within the cell. These are generally found stored in vacuoles or granules. Depending upon the nature, cell inclusions are classified as reserve, secretory or waste products. Now, what are granules? These are tiny bodies found in the cytoplasm of the plants and animal cells. They are not bounded by membrane. Sometimes pigments may occur as granules in special cells. Glycogen or starch granules may be present as reserve food, or secretory granules may accumulate in gland cells. So this was basically what are cells, what are the types of cells, what are the structure and shape of the cells, the size of the cells, like how is an animal cell look under a microscope, how does a plant cell look under a microscope. Okay, thank you.